things going. So we have that. And I'm going to start by sharing out my desktop and bringing up the first Sway. Now what I'm going to do, just for reference, is there's two different Sway links that you have. One is for the overnight sites and one is for the not overnight sites. And since there's nobody on this call that's doing the overnights, I'm just going to review the site, the Sway that's for the not overnights. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there. Okay, and I just, for those who they'll be listening to this recording, I'm just going to announce one more time about the Brooklyn location for point of record, so that anybody's listening to this afterwards, that if you are a volunteer and you signed up for the St. Joseph School in Brooklyn, that site had some challenges with testing, conflicts at their school for the weekend, and so we had to, they asked us if we would be okay with moving those students over to the Microsoft location in Manhattan at the Broadway flagship store, and so we've done that, and so we'll be moving all the volunteers over there. And if you're unable to be at that location and you want to maybe be at the Harlem location instead, feel free to let us know, and we'll be reaching out to everyone anyway, just to confirm that via email as well. So watch for that email if you're listening to this recording. All right, so let me go ahead and share out my desktop here. And I will go to the Sway file, and we'll go through that piece there. So let's bring up our notebook here, get the Sway. And again, I'm going to cover the Sway for the not sleepover sites, because the volunteers that are on the call tonight are all going to be supporting those locations. So just a little bit about who we are for the point of reference for you, because you're new. This is kind of, who are these people? What are they doing? We are a 501c3 not-for-profit organization. This is our 4th year in operation. We deliver immersive programs to help students understand the career opportunities in science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, and to help really school districts understand how to transition and start to deliver these types of immersive programs. Everything we do is designed with a playbook model so that communities can take our concept and, through our support, deliver these immersive programs that they might not traditionally be able to offer. So I'm going to be sharing with you the Back to School Codeathon Sway, which is basically a presentation. This is the links that I shared out there are links that the students would have access to, and the students the students are receiving emails, and they have a lot of things that they have to do prior to coming to the program, and you should be aware of that. So I'm going to cover that, and I'm going to go through the slides and then kind of talk where it's relevant to you. And then at the end of the slides, there'll be a whole agenda where we'll go through actually everything that's going to be happening every time frame in that. So you'll be pretty informed by the time this call is done. And at the end, I'm going to take questions. So if you have a question about something and you don't want to forget, just type it in the, well, you guys are both on via dial-up. So if you could just hold the questions for the end, and then we'll take them. Or I may pause at points and ask if you have questions about that specific topic, okay? All right, so this is just a little, information. Congratulations, you've signed up for this program. Here's their to-do list. Obviously, if they haven't registered already, they would go to that link and do that. Here is some action items for them, and they will get this when they do sign up on the registration form. They will get this information to them as well as a reminder. So they're going to get this a lot. They're going to keep getting this in their inbox and their email. Parents will get this. It's just, we really want to make sure that some of these tasks are done before they come to the Codeathon, because it'll help eliminate some of the time that they have to focus on getting ready, and they can spend more time on the learning experience. And so if they don't do it, then they have to do this when they get there, and again, it'll delay them having to get involved in the learning process. So the more they can do these things at home, or you can help them, if you're a parent, obviously on the call, you can support them to get these tasks done ahead of time. So they have to get a live account set up, and that link is here on this presentation. It takes them right to where they need to go to sign up for that. They also need to get requests to access our Yammer community. Our Yammer community is an online community that students are a part of. There's about almost 800 students in this community today. Every time we deliver a program, every student who attends our program is invited into that community. And the reason we do that is because we want to make sure students, when they leave the program and during the program, they can collaborate with other students, with the industry experts and speakers that we have a part of this, and they're really engaged in this way to kind of connect later on. And we're not about just teaching them in the moment, we're about teaching them in the future as well. And so Once they're invited into that, they'll have some instructions there about some groups that they need to join and say hello to the other students. There is an assessment that each student will have to take. It's about a 10 to 15 minute assessment based on the student. It's some questions that we ask. This is an assessment that was designed by the National Science Foundation to determine whether or not programs impact a student's thinking about going into careers for science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And we use this assessment to collect data and to see whether or not what we're doing is changing a child's thinking. And that's really our goal, is to really change their thinking and get them aware of the opportunities and experiences they can pursue for careers. And this is about the opportunity divide and making sure that every child has an opportunity to experience these potential careers and can be successful a contribution to society. They work in teams, and that's the big component. You'll see that picture there is obviously very diverse. All the teams are, we use an algorithm to determine the teams, so the students do not get to pick what teams they're on, and that's intentional. When they go to get a job, they're going to be not going to be able to pick who they work with. Not always. 90% of the jobs today, you don't really get to choose the teams that you work on. You have to go in and work with people, and learning what that feels like and how to be successful in working with other people is a really important thing to teach, and this is a part of what we teach. So it's not just the technical skills, but it's also the soft skills and the communication skills that are really important for success. And so these students will learn how to work with different diverse thinking, diverse in gender diversity and socioeconomic backgrounds. We don't just target students who can't afford, and that's intentional because we want to make sure that everybody's learning and they're learning how to work together, and that they're learning from each other. And so we do a 50-50 balance in socioeconomic background and a 50-50 balance in diversity of gender. And that what we find is in doing that, we create amazing teams and programs and experiences for students. And we know through research that everything that we do is founded on neuroscience-based research of how we think and how our brains work, and the knowledge we know about that today. And so the research tells us that if you have a diverse team, the end result of what they produce together will be much more innovative and much more successful. So that's the model that we follow. And you'll see that we do a lot of computer science unplugged concepts. So that project that they're working on there is building a tower. And some of the teams will have 4 students on them, some will have 3. That'll vary based on the head counts at each of the locations. But typically it's 4 students per team. We don't do ever do more than 4 teams. It'll be a unique situation unless that we maybe have an odd number and we have to do 5. But sometimes we'll rather do a 4 and a 3, or we'll look at 2 groups of 3 or something like that. So now, what time should they arrive? So really want to make sure students arrive on time, so they have to be there between 3:30 and 4 o'clock on Friday, the 20th, and they will leave at 8:30 on Friday evening and Saturday evening. That's the pickup time, and then of course on Sunday and Saturday and Sunday morning they have to be in by between 8 and 8:30. We want to tell them 8 o'clock because that way they're there and they're ready to go, because the training will start promptly at 8:30 in the morning. So they want to be there and not be disruptive to the other students that are there. And just to stress the reason why we do the sleepover sites, there's a lot of value in the team bonding and what happens when students stay overnight together. And it also helps prevent issues with students not potentially coming back. That can happen if a student doesn't experience maybe the first evening and they say, oh, well, I'm not coming back tomorrow. Whereas if they stay overnight and now they're there for the next day, there's a tipping point that happens with students having a good experience. And we want to make sure that we keep them through the whole weekend. So we're going to see how this goes this year. This is new for us this year. We've kind of allowed this to happen because of some circumstances that played out. So we'll see how this all works out. It'll be a science experiment for us. Okay, so they get a list of what to bring. In the sleepover, obviously they're going to bring sleeping bags and pillows and stuff. In the programs with the no sleepover, they're going to bring their laptop if they have one. In the registration form, they'll let us know whether they have one or not, and then we'll provide ones for this at the sites for students who don't. We want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to this, and we do understand that not every child has a laptop. They should bring their cell phones if they have them again, and then any spare cables or things they need to go with that, just to make sure they're well prepared. We do ask them not to bring any outside food or beverages, and we ask our volunteers to do the same. We just want to make sure that we're not putting our students at risk by bringing anything outside. We have all the food and beverages and everything there for the students, so there's no need for them to bring anything in there. And if a student has medical issues or medications they need to take, you shouldn't have that issue at the not sleepover sites, because of course the students should be doing that at home. On Sunday, the parents are going to arrive to pick up the students at 4:30. If that is only if they are not coming for the presentations. If the parents want to come for the presentations, they would have checked that box in the registration form, or they may inform us later. We do ask the parents to let us know that, so that we have prepared for the head count of people coming in, and that we have the environment set up with chairs and everything for the parents to seat in. And so they would arrive. We ask the parents to arrive at 1:30, and the reason why we do that is because the presentations start promptly at 2 o'clock, and we're doing this simultaneously across 5 locations around the world. So we want to make sure that we really have everybody ready to go, and that's happening. And all the presentations will be presented live on Facebook, so that the parents or anybody, family members who couldn't be there, can watch it there. And then of course it's recorded, so you can watch it later. So I'm going to pause there for a minute and open for questions, and then I'm going to go through the agenda, okay? And if I get total silence, I'll assume you have no questions. Anything in the chat window? Nope. So you guys are good? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we'll continue.
Yes, good, thank you.
Okay, so we'll continue. Let me go back to, here we go. So now let's go through the agenda, and you can see what's going to happen, and then I'm going to lead into the roles and responsibilities and what you might be participating in to support. Okay, so registration, we said before, opens up at 3:30. We do need staffing for the registration table, 2 to 3 people typically, and especially at the sites that are not doing a sleepover, because in the sites that are doing sleepover, you're going to check in on Friday night and you're going to check out on Sunday. In the sites that are doing the not sleepover, it's every night, it's check in and check out every day. So that means we're going to have resources in those shifts to do that. And then, of course, we kick off at 4:30. That'll be local, a local kickoff, meaning that there may be some government officials and people at each of the locations that they may say a few words. We'll thank our volunteers. We'll thank our sponsors. And then at 4:45, we're going to do a live stream across the sites. And we'll be really kind of kicking everything off, saying hello and letting all the students kind of wave, and we're really kind of getting them pumped and excited about the experience they're going to be embarking on, and really just getting everybody, really hyped up for the whole experience. And then at 5 o'clock, the students will do a mind mapping activity. We'll say goodbye to all the sites online, and then you'll go off, and each site will do their mind mapping activity. This is a phenomenal activity where the students really kind of get to know each other through visual drawing. They'll use paper and markers, and that's for those that are there's a shopping list that the site leads have for that. There's links to where they can get those sheets, the sticky pads. They're big sticky pads. You put them on the wall. You want to make sure you have a good wall space to do that, and then with the students, they can do it on the tables too. We've done it either way. And then it's just a great way for the students to interact and get to know each other. And we want the volunteers that are going to be at the sites to do it right along with the students, so they get to know the people they'll be working with over the weekend. And there's a whole presentation deck on this, so if you choose to volunteer to support that piece of it or that session, when you let us know, we'll make sure you have all those materials. And the site lead's going to be assigning that rollout to the volunteers. But if you have an interest in that, you can certainly speak up, and we'll make sure that information is told to the lead, and then you can do that session. It is a fun session, my favorite piece of the program. And then dinner time, they'll break for dinner, and then after dinner they're going to start their getting kind of set up for success. What that means is they're going to go through, make sure they're all logged into their tools, and that they know what they're going to be learning, and then the site lead technical people are going to take them through that. Now, just for awareness, right now we don't have we have a few people that have volunteered for the Harlem technical, but we haven't locked that person in, and we do have resources set for the technical lead at the other locations. So if you are technical, we really could use your help with mentoring and being assigned to a team or multiple teams, depending on how many mentors we have. And that role really is helping support the students. And we want to stress being a mentor does not mean you're giving them the answers, not mean you're telling everything what to do. You're just helping them through the curiosity stages and helping them find how to find these answers to things and being independent discovery learners. And what I mean by that is you really don't want to, we want them when they leave here to have really good skills of how to use the tools on the internet to find answers for themselves and to learn independently and really transition into this concept of a lifelong learner. And so you can do that as a mentor by kind of thinking through the process that you might share with somebody when they try to find some information, maybe giving them some suggestions on key terms that they can search for, or maybe some sites that you know that are really good for awareness, for learning to code. We're going to, of course, give them all kinds of stuff, but if you're technical, you may have some additional things that we're not aware of or the students are not aware of, and we want you to bring those to the table and really empower the students. At 8 o'clock, they'll be kind of going through some learning the tools and doing some more stuff with CodePen. And again, the technical leads have all that content and they'll kind of walk through that. And then at 8:30, all the sites will, for not the stayover sites, will be leaving for the evening. Those sites that are doing the sleepover, they'll be connecting with the Australian teams at 8 o'clock because of the time changes and the time zones of 12 hours. It'll be 10 o'clock in the morning for them. It'll be 10 o'clock at night. So there's some other things that will happen at the sleepover sites that won't happen to the sites that are not sleeping over. They'll be doing a movie and popcorn, and then there'll be lights out around midnight. And so then we go into Saturday. Again, at that should be 8 o'clock registration. Let me just modify this. 8 o'clock. I don't know why I didn't catch that on the last call. So I apologize. Let me just type this in here. And we're calling this check-in. So the students will check in at 8 o'clock. And then the training, like I said, will start promptly at 8:30. They'll be doing some additional HTML, and then they'll go into CSS. And reality is, this program is designed for kids who know nothing, okay? And that's intentional. But there are students who are going to come with some knowledge. And that's why our algorithm is so important, and the assessment that we do and the questions that we ask during the registration and how we set the teams up, because we want to set them up for success. So there'll be teams of mixed skill sets of students with some coding skills, some with none. And that way we have a balance of teams, and so that everybody has a chance to be successful and to compete for the prizes. And there's no lopsided teams, we'll just say. And then again, and that's why the mentors are not there to help them do the projects. They're there to help mentor them and help them find answers. That's it. Everything else is up to the students. You can again ask good questions and get them thinking and come to their own insights, but it's not about telling them what to do. And then, of course, they take a lunch break. We do have an hour set for Saturday because we want the students to really start chatting about what are they going to do. They have to come up with a conceptual idea or a business that will solve a social global issue. And so we want them thinking about problem solving in the real world. And so what will happen when they do the mind mapping activity, they're going to share their values. And so the more they do these team bonding and these team activities, the more they'll get to know each other, and the more they'll really kind of connect and understand what they care about. So that when they decide what they're going to do, what's their business name, what's it going to do, what problem are they going to solve, they'll start to frame that out. And it's amazing, and I'm going to be sharing with you some of the projects from last year so you can get a sense of what these kids are capable of doing when they really think and what they care about. That's the amazing thing. And this is where you give kids lots of autonomy, but you give them a good framework and tools to work with, and understanding and knowledge of how to use those tools and how to apply those competencies. You get the end result is you get amazing stuff from them. And so they'll have time at lunch to do that. They'll get it for those students who want to maybe go into developer careers and things. This is like an optional session we're going to be doing about GitHub. We want these students to understand, how do I set up a GitHub account and why do I care about a GitHub account? And this is really for those students who really are serious about putting their work out there and so people can see, and that will help them to get a job in the future if they're going after that skill set. And then we have 2 o'clock, we're going to be working on their projects. They'll go and focus on that. And then at 3 o'clock, we're going to do a live stream with everybody together again. And we're going to be talking about how you submit your projects when you're all done so that the judges can see them and review them. And we want to make sure that everybody's good with that and they all understand it. So we'll be going through that, and we'll need the help from the mentors to make sure the students are prepared for that, that they understand where to submit them. And I'll talk more about that when I get to the Sunday's agenda. Then they go into more project time, and then they'll have a break at 5 o'clock before dinner to do a fun activity. We've given ideas and suggestions to the sites with all the detail and content of how to run those activities. Some sites will do different things, so you'll look forward to learning what those activities are. And if you are interested in actually leading one of those activities, let us know, and we'll assign you to one of them. Or if you have an activity that you'd love to bring to the table, we'd love to hear from you, but we would need to see it before we would deliver it to the students. And then that's why we kind of give you some good samples. And certainly what we want you to do is after the program, if you have suggestions and things that you want to help us improve this, we would love to hear that from you. And then dinner time is a half hour because they've kind of had a good time with lunch. We want to give them more time back for projects. And you'll find that as there's a tipping point that happens with these students when they start working on their projects where they want to work through dinner, they want to work through lunch, and we have to drag them away from the computers and get them to take in time to go get something to eat. And that's exciting to see that happen when the teams really connect and gel and they really start to get busy and working together. And then at 7:30, we're going to do a really fun Kahoot game. And if you're familiar with Kahoot and what it does for students in a learning environment, it's a blast. Adults love it too. And we'll be doing that across all the sites, which will be really fun. It's going to be really competitive. So I'm looking forward to that piece. And then they'll go back to working on their projects. And then, of course, at 8:30, they'll say goodbye and for the evening. And, of course, the sleepovers will continue on their projects, and they'll have some other activities that they'll be doing in the evening. On Sunday, we'll be doing the same thing again, checking in. They'll go right to the projects when they come in on Sunday morning because they got a limited amount of time to finish things up. And you might even find that students who leave at 8:30 on Saturday night, you might find those students working online on their projects because they know they don't have a lot of time left. And I would not be surprised if you see some chatter in the Yammer community and online with these students really kind of getting engaged. And I'm excited to see how that plays out because we aren't doing the sleepover for some of these sites. And then they have to submit their projects at 11:30. So as a mentor, one of the things that you'll be asked to do is to make sure they know what they're doing. You're not going to show it to them or do it for them. You want to just make sure you say, okay, you guys remember what you got to do. And if they have questions, we'll give them some guidance in that. But this is all about following instructions, having a time commitment, learning time management, and knowing what they have to do. We'll give them reminders, but they're accountable for making sure they're submitted on time. And then, of course, they'll break for lunch. And when they're in the lunchtime on Sunday, we'll ask them to do a post assessment. This is where we get our metrics and our data. So we can tell, did they, and they'll be answering the same questions and then a few additional ones about the program itself. But that we'll be comparing, their confidence level with the technology and the tools and their understanding of the careers. Has it changed? Have we impacted their thinking? And it's great for us to look at that metric and that information. And then at 1 o'clock, we're going to have a session with them about what's next. This will be live streamed across all the sites, and we'll be sharing with them, how do you go learn more? Where can you go? What programs can you get involved in? How do you continue your learning, and how do you be more involved in our organization? Our organization is run by students for students. We want to encourage them to get involved if they like the experience and they want to get involved more. They want to be one of the speakers maybe that presents the topics in one of our programs. They can earn that status. You will find that at least at the Microsoft Store, there's going to be our student ambassadors will be delivering that content. And also in the Long Island location, the student ambassadors will be delivering that content. And our goal is in the future to have all the sites to have those students actually delivering the content to their peers and to the future students. That's the organic growth and what we do. And that value is huge because now it allows communities to really get and deliver these types of programs without support and help. They can do it themselves, and we provide all the tools they need to do that. So at 2 o'clock, the presentations will begin. And reminder, the parents should arrive by 1:30. If you're a volunteer, you may be assigned as a welcoming person to come in and help the parents get settled in and making sure they're all in and they're not disruptive. We may have a guard at the door once the presentations start. We won't let a parent in the room unless they're in between presentations, so that if a presentation's already started, we're going to ask them to hold at the door until we swap out the teams, and then they can come in. So we want to make sure that at the registration table, for example, a parent's dropping off, we're going to ask them, are you coming? Because we're going to collect, even though they may have put information in the form, part of the registration questions are you coming for the are you coming for the presentations on Sunday? If you are, then reminder, you must be here at 1:30. And we're going to tell them, if you're not here by 1:30 and you come after 2 o'clock, you're going to be held at the door and you may miss your child's presentation. We do not know what time your child's going to present until the day. So on Sunday, the students during lunchtime, each team will be handed a card. They'll get a number, and that number will be what time and it'll be random. And then they'll have 15 minutes to trade their card with another team. And then after that, we're locked in, and they can't swap. And that's the number they have, and that's the number they will be presenting in the queue. And that's all important, and the parents need to understand that. The students need to understand that. That's kind of our policy there, and it's important that they follow it. And then at 4 o'clock, we're going to be done. There'll be, the students will have a set amount of time that they can present in. They'll be told when they have to wrap up if they're going over. We have all the cues. They'll be taught about that during the program schedule. And then, of course, when we finish the presentations, the judges will, if you're volunteering to be a judge, you would arrive at 11:30. You may be there already, you may not, but if you're going to be a judge and you're not coming for another time frame, you have to be there by 11:30 for so as soon as the students submit their projects, the judges will start reviewing them while the students are eating lunch and listening to the what's next. And the reason we do that is because we want them to view all the websites and the content and do all that rubric assessment, and then the judges only have left to judge their presentation itself. Like how did they speak? Were they clear? Did they deliver the message? Did each student participate? Did they share content? They're going to be looking at those types of things from the students. And then they'll have a few minutes to ask questions from each team as they're transitioning and the next team is coming up. The teams will be told, you're on deck, make sure you're prepared. They'll know what they need to do and where they need to be. And the judges will be asking some questions of the team that just presented. They'll score them. At 4 o'clock, they'll do their last minute tallying. They'll hand in their score sheets to the team lead, the site lead, and then we'll add them all up. We're going to do a live broadcast and announce all the winners. We'll be giving out prizes to the first and second and third place teams. And the kids will congratulate everybody. And reality is everybody will be a winner because they've done some amazing work. They've learned some amazing things. And then we'll wrap up and say goodbye. And the setup or the cleanup crew will come in and they'll clean up the site. Now let me just kind of share a couple things here where we talk about what you can do to volunteer. So I'm going to go in here to the volunteer, and then I'll share with you the tracking that we have for the, hold on, Maris, am I in the right place? No. Oh, I lost my spot. Where is why am I losing my spot? The volunteer, oh, you know what, is it probably here? Here we go, shift log. So we have a shift log, and this is what Amaris is working on. So Amaris is one of our community ambassador students, and she is a first-year freshman in college, and she is part of our community ambassador program. And so she's one of the students who's running the show. And so she's doing all the volunteer outreach and managing all the volunteers. And she's managing all the emails that have been going out to you and this call set up. And she's taking notes right now for this call, and she's tracking all the information in our system. And then she's going to be setting up these shifts based on the information that you give back to us and what the role that you'll be doing. And then we'll have a check-in sheet when each of the volunteers comes in, and we'll be registering them in, making sure they're present. We'll be asking you, if, for example, you're going to be the setup crew, we're going to ask you to arrive 15 minutes before 15 to 30 minutes before your shift starts, so that we can make sure we get you checked in, we get you your badge and everything you need. We may or may not have T-shirts for you. We're doing our best. We are self-funded organization. We're not for profit, and we get a lot of in-kind donations. The prizes and the food and stuff, but we don't get a lot of dollars to spend on things. So so bear with us. We're getting there, and someday we hope to have more resources and more people to help support us. And so we appreciate and value your time and your help with us in making sure these students students are having a great experience and they're successful in their future. So you'll basically tell us what shift you want to be in, and so we'll track that. So the shifts are all laid out. We ask that if you're going to volunteer that you take a complete shift, meaning that you're not there for an hour or two, because it really is difficult for us to manage that for volunteers. If you come in for setup crew, you're there from 2 to 8. If you come in for this first shift for the, and I'm only going to focus on the not sleepover shifts. So that's the Friday night shift would be for 3:30 to 8:30 if you're going to come in and be a mentor, for example. Or you may be a registration resource person, you're helping out with that. So you would be there and your shift would start. We would want you there between 3 and 3:15 so that you can be set up and ready to go when the students start to arrive. And then our next shift would be the Saturday morning shift, which would be where is it? Yeah, 8 a.m. to 2:30. So if you're on for, and you can certainly do 2 shifts. It's totally up to you, but you got to do a minimum of 1 shift. All right. So, and people have asked, can I do a shift at one site and then go to another site? Absolutely. And we encourage you to do that so that you can get an experience of the different locations and what we're doing and the different resources and people, and you can make great connections. We want this to be valuable to our volunteers just as much as it is valuable to the students, because this is about community involvement and building community empowerment. So please feel free to do a shift on a Friday at one location, a Saturday at a different location, and a Sunday at a third location. You can certainly do that. And then the next shift would be 2:30 to 8:30 p.m. And then the next shift would be 10:30 to, oh, sorry, no, that's the wrong one. And then on Sunday, it would be 8 a.m. to 2:30. And then, of course, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. would be the cleanup crew. And you could certainly do 8 a.m. to 4:30 if you wanted to, but you have to do at least 1 shift, okay? And you can trickle over into a second shift if you can. All right, so now I'm going to pause for questions, and then I'm going to continue into the samples of the projects the students have done prior years. And again, I'll take silence as you got it. Okay, silence is good. All right, and then I'd love to get feedback from you. Was this valuable? Was this helpful? Was it succinct? Did it give you what you needed to hear? Okay, especially from a parent's perspective and a mentor's perspective, because I think that's who I've got on the phone. So, all right, so let's go now and look at the projects from last year, and they are amazing. So we're going to go to our Creating STEAM site, and you can follow me there if you're on a computer. If you go to the Creating STEAM site, and it is kind of hidden, and we're working on, the students are working on the website to make it a little more aware of where these things are, and it has a better showcase. So we'll hopefully after this Codeathon, for this year's projects, they'll be highlighted in a better place. But if you scroll way down to the bottom, after the the main site has the registration links. It has a video from last year, and then it has the sway that I just walked you through, and then it has our sponsors, and then it has some FAQs for parents and participants, and then it has another link for registration, of course, and then finally the projects and information from last year. And you'll see here we had 3 sites last year. We would have had 6 sites this year, but now we have 5. So we're still growing, which is exciting, and we hope to have even more. And we hope that in 5 to 10 years from now, that every community around the world has this experience and has this opportunity. Because it's important that we teach these students the skills that they're going to need in their future. So now, in the Brooklyn student projects, if we go there, and what I want you to really take note of is that look at the diversity in the photos, and then of course look at the difference in how from Australia to Brooklyn to Darby, Pennsylvania, what the students care about. So this is really where you can see and this is the autonomy and the creativity that occurs when you give students a little bit of borders, but you don't give them so many constraints that they can't be creative. And this is the neuroscience around our teaching methodology and how we encourage students and motivate students to solve real world problems. So we're going to go to the Brooklyn site. And if you look at the Brooklyn site, you can see what these students really cared about. And so this is an example. And these are the first, second, and third place winners. And then at the bottom of this page, we have links to every single one of the teams that participated, so you can see those. So Earth is dying. They really, and we're the culprits. So this is what they care about, was the environment. How do we make a difference? You're going to notice a lot of the students' projects are like not-for-profit projects, which is amazing because it shows that they want to give back and they care. And this is true in demonstrating the millennials and what they want to make a difference. They want to know that work that they do is making a difference in the world. And so we're helping students see how they can work in careers and work for companies, and they can make their own companies or be entrepreneurs and start a mission to make change and be a part of a positive contribution to society. And so you can see this next project is about education and how do you support education using technology and supporting rural communities and locations that may not have access to that. And so then there's this next one about Project Home. This was a topic that was about the immigrants, and it was top of mind for students, and they created temporary housings that could be easily put up for them to live in. And then there's some photos of the winners, the first, second, and third place winners. We had some amazing prizes last year. We had laptops for the first place, Xboxes for the second place, and these amazing headsets for the third place. And then there's the links. We don't know what the prizes haven't been announced yet. Microsoft is providing again first and second place, and Amazon is providing third place. So we'll be excited to announce those next week. And then runners up, these are all the teams and the links to their projects. Those projects are still live. That's the great thing about what we do. Those projects can stay up as long as the students want them to. And we recommend that they do, because now they can put that in their portfolio and they can share it with their family and with their college applications, with their future career jobs that they might apply for, maybe internships. They can share what they did, and that'll really help them in their future. So that's the Brooklyn location. So now let's go and look at the come on, don't give me a hard time. Now let's go look at the Australian site. And let's see what these kids cared about. And so this is pollution. They're really focusing on that in this one, and then gun control and violence, and then the natural disasters and how do we, saving Mother Earth and all the things that are happening, and the changes that are happening from us impacting the world we live in. And then here's some photos of the winners from those teams, and then of course the links to their to the other projects that are out there. So we have that there. Now let's go and look at the Derby, PA, and look at their projects. And of course each of these has a photo gallery of all the photos from the programs, and we highly recommend that you go check those out, but I won't be going through those on this call today. So here, and we will have the same information for this year and every year afterwards, so that students can come back, and we will be sharing this with the students too, so they can see what the other students and the prior years did. So this will be part of what we'll be showing the students. And we'll encouraging them to maybe get more innovative than what the other students did, or maybe think more differently about what they might solve. And this is tolerance. Don't tolerate intolerance. And this is something that they cared about in Derby. Man versus pollution. Again, similar to the other sites. That's a big deal for these kids. They want to make sure that the world that they live on is there for their next generation and for their children. And then this is just a group shot of the students. It was a small, and I'll talk to this. This is similar to, I think about Harlem with this, because, the struggles that Harlem's experiencing with getting the families and the communities to realize the value of this type of program. So I'll share with you Derby. So you can see it wasn't a big turnout last year. This year, they're going to probably have the largest turnout. They're up in the 45, I think, students attending this year. So that's exciting. So what that shows us is that the students that shared their stories with the other students was contagious. And this is the organic impact of doing something like this. So it really just is telltale and says how important this is to them and how scary it might be initially until it's done. And then, so these students, they paved the road for the next students coming in. And now, if they hadn't done that, and if Harlem doesn't do this, then they're never going to get this opportunity. So now your students and the mom who's on the call with us, we thank you and we appreciate you being a part of that and making a difference and bringing about change, an important change that has to occur. Okay, I'm going to take a deep breath.
Thank you, guys. Thank you to you guys for the whole initiative. I really appreciate.
No, and we thank you for taking our guidance and to taking and doing this, because we can't see the reason why our model is the way it is because we can't scale if we don't do it in a way where everybody can do this without us. So what we decided to do is create a model that would took the burden of all the things that you would have to invest in and to do something like this, like the registration site, like managing the volunteers, all that stuff, and let you just deliver the program, right? And so now, year after year, you could come back to us and say, hey, we want to do a different type of program. Would you help us? And you'll help maybe shape a new program that gets delivered at other schools around the world. And so that's the partnership we want with communities, to say, hey, I loved the Codathon. We have an idea for something else. Would you help us shape it and pilot with us? And then, but it has to be repeatable. Everything we do has to be repeatable so that we can share it with other communities and that we can change the world by really getting communities involved and parents and families involved in learning together. It's important with the innovation and technology and the change that it's occurring. There's so much that parents don't know and understand. And a program like this changes that. It's a game changer. And it equals the playing field for everybody. And so that communities that can afford this, they do this all the time, right? But the communities that can't afford this is just really critical for them. And so we're here to help you be successful. That's our initiative and that's our mission. Okay, I'm going to pause there and take a deep breath for you guys to respond. And if there's no questions, when you guys get back to your evening?
Mm-hmm.
And we will ask you to contact Amaris. Either you can tell us on the phone right now, or you can email Amaris. Here's the shift I'm going to do, and here's what I'd like to do to support the program.
So this is Rihanna from the Bronx, the mother of the two boys. So on Friday I cannot come, but Saturday afternoon I would like to have a shift.
Okay, so Saturday afternoon. So you would like to be there. Let's just clarify that so we're all on the same page.
Yes, I'll try to be there in the morning, but just to give you the shift that I'm sure I'll be able to help you guys.
3:30. So you'll be there. One. Yeah. So let me just confirm the time frame on that. That would be 2:30 to 8:30 on Saturday.
Yes, correct.
Perfect. Amaris, you have that, correct? Will you be coming on Sunday as well?
Yes, Sunday count me in also the whole morning, yeah.
Okay, so Sunday we'll put you down for 2:30 to 8:30 for Saturday, and then Sunday we'll put you down. Are you going to be there the whole day?
Yes, I will be. Yes.
So 8 o'clock until 4:30.
Yes.
Okay. So
just for Saturday, if I begin the shift at 2:30, what time? So I have to be there half an hour before?
Yes, so you're going to do the Saturday shift from 2:30 to 8:30, and that means you would need to be there by 2:15 at the latest.
Yes, so this will be a problematic for me.
What was that?
I just don't want. I don't think I can make it because I have something else in Manhattan, and I don't know if I can be there at 2:15.
What time?
I just was if I come late, you don't. Can I still help out even if I come?
Yes, as long as you make Amaris aware what time you're coming, we'll accommodate that. We just want to. The reality is, we want to have the shifts happening so that the volunteers are at the registration table and they're there, in that window. So why don't you think about what you can do? Email Amaris back, and then she'll document it and make sure the site leads know. Okay?
Okay, I will. But Sunday, it's okay. Sunday, there's no problem on Sunday.
Yeah, so why don't you think about the time frame that you think you can get there, and it's got to be one thing that you're going to commit to and guarantee us that you'll be there by, okay? And then we'll look forward to an email from you regarding what time you can be there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And I apologize. NYU is it NYU student or?
Yes.
Your name again?
Zainab. I emailed Amaris. I told her that I wanted to sign up for a setup shift on Friday.
Okay, good. Perfect. We'll need your help. Thank you. All right, that's fantastic. All right, so ladies, thank you again. Amaris, you're awesome. Thank you again. And I'm gonna stop the recording and say goodnight. Thank you again, ladies, and look forward to having you participate.